Hello, my name is Ross Sutherland. I'm over in England right now. It's 11:35 my time, which I'm trying to work out. I think that's. I think it's about like sort of 6 a.m. where you are right now. I'm kind of talking to you from the future. Hello. So I've just been reading all of the entries for this poetry competition all morning. And one thing I think to say at the outset, like in terms of both the junior and the senior category, is I think just like the overall really, really high quality of the poems. They're all fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to begin with the overall winners of the competition, which is from the senior group, and it's the poem Colombia the Muse. Now, I think the images which are painted in this poem are just beautiful. And they're very, very complex as well. If this poem was like a child's toy, it would have many, many, many moving parts. You have like the butterfly fluttering its wings and providing Colombia with oxygen. I mean, that's just wonderful. There's Bogota itself is kind of described as both like a river and as a zoo to kind of let yourself into. I think that's a really interesting mixed metaphor. At the end of the poem, we have these kind of movements of like a footballer, just kind of symbolising the beauty of a country. But then, most of all, I think the bit that really kind of stands out for me is this: is right in the middle of the poem, this beautiful description of orchids. I'm just going to read it back. Orchids are paintings that float on the ground. Mountains' faith lies in their movement when they are falling down. That's just. I just love that, so it just seems, yeah, everything is in motion in this poem. Like throughout it, there's butterflies, orchids, cities, footballers, mountains, and it's all part of the same ecosystem. It's all kind of moving back and forth. I mean, it says it right there in the poem. There's a kind of faith in movement, and I love this, and I think that's the fact that all these different parts of this poem all seem to be talking to one another, I think, is wonderful and shows great communication between the poets who worked on this together. Okay, the runner up from the junior category is the poem called Snowy. Now, I think this is a very elegant poem. It's very simple, but I think like there's a lot going on beneath the surface of it. For such a short poem as well, you have this image of a white bear seen in a forest, which reminds the poet of snow from an earlier season. And these two images get kind of connected through the ghostliness of the bear and of the snow, the connected through silence and mystery. But at the end of the poet seems to be saying that just the act of kind of making this comparison between the snow and the bear, by kind of making this simile, is kind of a way of solving a mystery. And so when the poem is finished, the last line is, "The mystery becomes true," and I really like that. So I think it's not only a very, very simple idea, well executed, but it's also ends up, it's kind of saying something about that act of kind of writing poetry as well, which I agree with. I think that when we make a simile or a metaphor, we are taking two different things that already exist in the world and maybe haven't been connected before, and we're kind of connecting them together. And in that act of kind of connecting two things, the world itself becomes a little less mysterious, a little more whole, a little more true, and I like that a lot. Before I move on to the runner-up for the seniors, there's just a couple of honourable mentions that I would like to also say for the junior category. All of the poems were fantastic, but I would like to give particular an honourable mention to a couple of other of the poems. I really, really loved the poem which was about the origins of cotton candy. I thought that was a really beautiful poem. I thought it was a really great idea for a poem, and very, very well done as well. There was no sort of forced rhymes in it. I thought it was really funny, and I loved the actual the image of how cotton candy was described. I thought that was really, really nice about putting a thumb on a cloud. I thought that was really, really great. So I wanted to just say that was also was one of my favourites. I also really love the poem "What Did You See," which was the big list of different people observing different stuff. I don't know why, but I particularly just liked the reference about police drinking cola right near the start. I don't know why that's kind of stuck with me as a really well observed tiny detail. I love that kind of thing. Okay, the runner up prize for the seniors I want to give to the poem "How an Alien Thinks." Now, I think this is a great reworking of the Craig Rain poem. I think all of the different voices, everyone who's worked on this poem, all of your voices have come together very, very nicely. I love that description of a backpack as a kind of monster who follows you and kind of vomits up your possessions, and the idea of a key as a shy crocodile. That's just, I mean, amazing. And the cinema as a transporter to take you to another planet, which, really ties in very nicely with the rest of the poem. Now, these types of poems, these kind of alien poems, they're kind of like an extreme version of something that's present in practically all of poetry, right? Which is taking a familiar object and then making us see that object as if we'd never seen it before. And in order to do this, the poet's got to kind of step out of line. They have to kind of step out of society and remove themselves from the world and then look back at this object as if they're trying to see it for the first time. And this is very, very difficult when you're writing poems like this. And I'm sure the poets who wrote this poem will kind of agree that it's kind of maddening to have to sort of sit there and try to think your way around these objects. They're really, really difficult things to write. I think you really do manage to make us take these objects and see them again as if we were seeing them for the first time. You've made them new, and I think there is so much pleasure in that, both as a reader and as a writer. So well done. I just want to give a couple of other honourable mentions to the seniors. There was, across all of the poems, there was always like some amazing standout lines in all of them. I really loved in the Life Colours poem, I love that line about grey. Grey, if I lost myself tonight, it would be by your side. That's just an amazing line. In the haiku poem, in the collection of haikus, the poem, A Beautiful Rose for the Most Beautiful Girl, Who Is My Ending. That's just lovely. Very, very powerful, simple stuff. Really great. And the poem Loneliness as well, I was an immense fan of. It was emotional, it was very raw, it was intense, and it seemed to be sort of signifying like a much bigger story. And what I thought when I was kind of reading that was I just kind of thought that the poet or poets who worked on that poem should, I think they should go back and write the rest of that story, because I think actually all the emotions are there. That's actually the hard part that's been laid down, and now I would say, go back and tell us the rest of the story. I don't know whether that's a story based in truth or fiction, or a combination of truth and fiction, but I think that's a story that you guys should tell. I want to hear more. So thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to read these poems. It's been a lovely way to wake up today and be able to read all these great poems. Now I have to go on and get back with my own poems and try my hardest not to steal all your best lines. I won't. I'm not going to steal any of your lines, but they're all great, and I would if I thought I could get away with it. So okay. So good morning from Britain. All the best. Thanks. Bye.